Monday, 7th of September. I've been on the phone again to a million people in all different states, in all different departments. It's absolutely ridiculous. I even spoke to a travel agent who was recommended to me to see what we could do about getting home. He had no more information than I did, and basically, even the information she had was recommended that the individual actually chase it up with the individual places that you're going. And so I've booked tickets for Melbourne. Nothing's flying into Melbourne as yet, so we're looking at middle of November, and I'm just going to see if things change. I applied for a GTG, it's got rejected to come in from New South Wales anyway. So if I'm going to go via New South Wales, we might as well go via Victoria and drive home. And we'll have to go through South Australia and apply for a transit exemption there. But I've been told of someone who has got a G2G to go from Victoria to Perth, so that's given me a little bit of hope, and the fares are fully refundable. So if it doesn't work, if it's becoming apparent in the next few weeks or 6 weeks or so that it's not going to happen, then I will just move them until next year. April being, I think, March 28th is the next direct flight from Auckland to Perth. So we'll suss that out. In the meantime, I guess we'll just hang here. And the more I think about that workshop in Darfield, the crosser I am. The second day I had a job to do, and he left. The painter left the booth running and just left and didn't tell me. So after a little while, I'm like, oh, maybe I should turn that off. There was nobody else around, so I've turned it off, and I did the job, like prepped up the car, and I had enough time to mask it up, but it needed to go in the booth. And generally you don't touch another person's work. When they're ready, they will move the car out and say, hey, the booth's free, and in you go. So there's no job board to say when cars are coming in, when cars are going out. So I kind of didn't feel much of an urgency about that particular job, and I wasn't going to go in and unmask his job when I just turn the booth off, because I generally, even if I turn the booth off and you want to get a car out, you got to give it a little bit of time to cool down. Plus the booth didn't heat up to its ideal temperature because it's so cold. So I'm wondering if that was also an issue, that I didn't take that car out, unmask it, put that car in and mask it up ready for him the following morning, which I quite happily would have done, but there was nobody to ask, and I was reluctant to get involved in other people's kind of business, and it's just, there was things like that are really bothering me now. Like, I've got a bit of time. Should I wash that car? Oh no, the young fella does it. Well, I can do it. Where's the stuff? And I wasn't ever told. And I found something else to do. But it's that undermining, I guess. There was no telling me, we need to have this out by this time, and I finished in this place, you can move the car, because there was another one that I should have moved the car apparently once it was buffed. Well, A, I wasn't buffing it, B, I didn't know it was finished buffing, and C, I didn't need the space anyway. So wouldn't it be the painter who had done the buffing, who was working on that car? I would have thought it was his responsibility to move the car so that other people would know that that space is actually available, so if they need it. I didn't think it would be my responsibility to run around after a painter. I'm not a TA. So it's just little things like that are really bugging me now, that I think, the boss would have seen a little bit differently to the painter who was not giving me all the information, or maybe even giving me false information. So it wasn't to be, and I'm okay with that. Whether something better is out there, it's something different, but something more appropriate, or whatever it is that my life is going was obviously not including Darfield. And I'm really pleased that I'm not actually driving to Darfield every day, because I've lived so close to my work for so long, and I've made a decision that any job I get will be in Rolleston. It will be here. Whatever that is, I really don't even care anymore. I will just get something, and it will be local, so I can either cycle or it's not very far. That's how I'm going to base my next looking for work when I'm ready. It's not today.